Good evening and welcome to Kidlit Live. I'm Arden Jones and I'm really excited this evening. I have an amazing author joining me tonight. He's an award-winning author. So many people love his books. And when I mentioned that he was coming on the show, I had a couple of friends even messages saying, I love the pirates are coming. And he's an amazing author and his stories are brilliant with great plot twists. So his name is John Condon and we're going to bring him on now. And everyone give him a warm welcome. If you have any questions, please do pop them on my YouTube channel. That's Arden Jones Author, because on Twitter I can't see them, unfortunately. They don't come through. So anything that you want to say, please do so on YouTube. So let's say hi to John. Hello.
Hello, Arden. How are you?
Yeah, I'm really good, thank you. How are you?
Not too bad. We made it. We're here. We finally making this happen.
Yes, yeah. It's things happen, don't they? I think there's so much constantly, like there's illnesses and stuff going around, children and work and everything. We all have to prioritize stuff, and Kidlit Live will still be here. So, you know, I'm really glad that we've got here this year. And I'm really happy to have you on the show. And I'm so glad that you agreed to come on. It was so lovely that you was up for it, because, yeah, I know that you wasn't sure. But, yeah, I'm really glad that you're here.
Yeah, I'm not, for everyone watching, I'm not massively comfortable in front of crowds, even unseen crowds. If there is a crowd, I have no idea how many people there are. But yeah, so I thought, you know, I'd get out of my comfort zone, which I've been trying to do a lot lately. Did my first festival last month.
Did you? Wow. Yeah, what was the festival?
So it was Margate's Bookie, which is my local festival. Oh, yes. So outside my comfort zone, but within my postcode. And that went really well.
Great town.
It's a fantastic town. Yeah, it's a fantastic town. And it was a great festival. It's a fantastic festival. I'd never been before, but I'll definitely go again. Even if they don't invite me, I'll pay to go again. Yeah, some great authors, illustrators there. Loads happening. And they originally started off at the Turner Art Gallery. And now they've moved out into other buildings in the surrounding area. Dreamland, they were filling Dreamland. It was great. Really impressive. Yeah, they really looked after me.
Oh, that's so good.
Lots of nice food.
Wow, that's always going to help. But yeah, I think like just the Kidlit community, people that are interested in children's books, they're all so kind and so supportive and so welcoming. So it's really good to hear that you also feel that, and you're having those experiences.
Yeah, always have. Since I first entered that community, met that community, was embraced by that community. I totally agree. Everybody, without exception, that I've encountered has been really given of their time, their knowledge, and their friendship. It's a fantastic community to be a part of.
It really is. And we had a quick, very short mention about it earlier, but I feel like Twitter plays a huge part in that. So I really hope that it can just get back up to how it used to be again, because it's a wonderful community to be in on Twitter. And I know like I've met a really good friend on there who also really, I think she's made friends with you, Laura Cooney.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, she's one of
those people really giving of her time. Yeah.
She really is, and she's so supportive of everybody. I'm like, how does she have the time for that? She, you know, she manages. It's really hard to do. Like, social media is so difficult to keep on top of and be active, as well as like for yourself and for supporting others. And yeah, she's great. So well done, Laura. We love you.
I'm not, we were saying this before we went live. I'm not fantastic on social media, I'll be honest. Facebook, as the dinosaur I am, Facebook is where I spend most of my time online on social media. I never really have, I don't know, I've never really got Twitter. Oh God, that's how old I am. Yeah, I mean, I don't know how many tweets I've made, hardly any, and even less on Instagram. And don't get me started on the other ones. I've not even started on the other ones. You haven't got me started. I won't be, I don't think. You know, Blue Sky and Threads and all the other ones.
Yeah, well, if I get a link from Blue Sky, I'll be like, John, you need to join it. We'll send you the code or whatever it is that you have to do.
That's it. You need codes. You need, you know, special handshakes to get in.
It does feel like that. But yeah, so I love your books, and I don't know, I think I've mentioned it to you in like messages, but like my daughter also loves your books, and I don't know how many times, I couldn't even count how many times we've read The Pirates Are Coming. We even took it into when she was at nursery this year, so she started school in September, and just before then they had her bring in your favourite book, and she brought that in, and she also bought Pip and Egg as well, but she bought The Pirates Are Coming, and every child there knew that book. It was amazing.
Wow.
They all knew it. They all loved it. And there was one boy there who was just like, "This is my favourite book ever. And when I grow up, I want to be a pirate." Like, it was just,
that was the idea.
yeah.
Recruiting pirates.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and I mean, I did hear actually that there's so many like publishers actually that don't want pirate books, and I'm like, why? Look
Mm.
at this book is amazing. So many pirate books do well. Kids love them. You know, we're not into pirates because of their really bad like history and the bad stuff that they've done. We're into them for the harmy hearties and all the fun
Yeah,
that they bring,
yeah,
and
and the
you know,
shanties
it's
and the jigs.
exactly,
Yeah.
yeah,
But
yeah,
it is interesting though, you know, when you hear that you'd write a story and try to submit it somewhere or other, and you'll hear these things every now and again, you know, whatever it might be, X you can't do because that doesn't exist in certain markets that we want to sell into, or it means something totally different there.
yes.
Yeah, which is always illuminating. And I was surprised when I was told that about pirates, but yes, I was told that too.
Yeah,
Even
yeah.
so,
It was I was very surprised. I thought, no, kids love pirates. We're putting it out there for children. We're not putting it out there for, well, I suppose we are putting it out there for adults. They're the ones that are buying the book. So, but I've not met anybody that would go, "Oh, I'd never buy a pirate book." And I know loads of parents and teachers and people that are like, they would never say, "Oh, I can't buy a pirate book because
that's
of,
it. Yeah, it gives me justification to dress up as a pirate, really. You
yes,
know,
oh, it's so much
take
fun."
it down to the
Just
supermarket, they'll ask, why you drink? I've got a book.
yeah, with your bottle of rum. Yeah, brilliant.
That's it. Yeah, that's it.
Oh, amazing. So I mean, you've wrote some brilliant books, and have you always known that you wanted to write books, be an author, and write specifically for children?
No, absolutely not. No, I mean, if you'd at any point in my life up until I first wrote what would become a picture book text, at any point, the week even before that, said to me that's what I'd be doing now in 2023, and this is what we'd be talking about, and I'd be 3 books in. You know, I would have said you'd been drinking too much rum. You know, let's get you a taxi home. Because yeah, so no way did I ever think that. Although, ironically, when I was a kid, I used to draw a lot. And when I grew up, I became a graphic designer, so I had to doodle, never really illustrate, you know, because obviously drawing and doodling are not the same as illustrating. But I would have believed you if you told me I'd end up an artist. You know, if you told me as a 7-year-old, you'd be an artist. You know, I did GCSEs and A-level art, and then also GNVQs when they were a thing. I don't know if they're still around for design.
I don't know if they are. I did a GMVQ as well.
And then after that, I did a foundation course, again with the idea of keeping my options open, with one eye on what then was probably turning into a dream of being an illustrator rather than an artist. You know, and I think when I was choosing universities, one of the ones that I went to have a look at on the open day was one that at the time, I don't know now, but had quite a well-respected illustration course. And I went and had a look at that place, and I think I just decided, actually, you know what? I don't know now if this is what or all that I want to do. But graphic design, on the other hand, I like the universities more. You know, I was moving away from home for the first time, you know, 18, and I was also thinking about, would I like to live here or would I like to live there? I won't name the universities just in case anyone lives there. But also, I could illustrate whilst doing graphic design if I wanted to. So again, you know, without limiting myself, I was actually opening up opportunities, I felt. And ultimately, I went on to become a graphic designer. And still no inclination to do anything relating to children's literature. I did, though, want to create something separate from my day job. And I was a huge fan, still am, always will be a huge fan of films, movies, and not so much TV shows now, but always movies. And I thought, well, I'd like to try my hand at that in my spare time. So I did some of that. And as an offshoot of that, I started writing screenplays so that I could film them, and then so other people could film them. They didn't in the end, but that was the plan. And I'd even got to the point where I was planning to, I don't know if it would have ever happened, but I was planning to make a feature-length horror movie set during World War II.
Different.
Yeah, and I was writing that, and then again to make another film, which was a short film, to do before going into this feature project. I decided to play around with what was it called now? I forgot what it's called. Crowdfunding to get some money to pay for the crew, etc. And so I thought I'll try that because it was brand new at the time. And you would offer in exchange for money, little incentives, gifts to would-be investors, which they call perks. And even though it was quite new, and I was looking at other similar projects to see that they were viable and they were actually getting the funding. Is it worth my time? And they were. But the perks that these other filmmakers were giving out were all very similar. And I wanted to do something a little bit different. And because the nature and the themes of the film that I was trying to make were a bit more family friendly than the World War II horror movie with the zombies. And so I thought, well, I'll do something, a unique perk, which is a nice tie-in to that. And so I decided I would write a picture book based on the screenplay. And so I thought I'd be able to do that really quickly. It'd be really easy. I'd get somebody to illustrate it, and that'd be great. And I'd get that in time.
A few words, right?
Yeah, like everybody. all the naive people, not the well-informed people. Neither of which I was at the time. I can't say that I am now, but I certainly wasn't then. I thought, well, I'll do that, and that'll be fine. And I didn't finish that. And I've tried to finish it several times since, and I still haven't been able to get that to work. Maybe I won't get that to work. But also, I never made that film, and I then didn't even finish the screenplay for the zombie film, and that never happened. I stepped away from filmmaking, and almost as a challenge, I think I wanted to get my head around picture books, so I could finish this one. And I started reading lots of them. About the same time, my son was born, and so I was reading to him before he was born even, and I've been reading to him every night since. And that's a wonderful thing to do in any case. It's great for you both. It's great for a child's development, and without forcing it upon them, it inspires them to be readers, which is a wonderful thing to be. But also, I was learning about picture books at the time, and I started to come up with other ideas for picture books. I started to jot them down, taking it seriously, thinking, well, actually, I might be able to turn that into a picture book text. Started getting some books, how-to books, read a few of those. Ultimately did an evening course after work. I don't know how long that lasted. It might have been a year, I don't know. Kidlit.
Okay, yeah.
That's
They're
good.
good. They've got some really good courses.
The tutor was great. I'm still in touch with the tutor. She's fantastic. Lou Kunstler, she's an author. And she was great fun. And, I made some lifelong friends there as well, some of whom joined a critique group, one of many critique groups afterwards. At the same time, I found Scooby, and for anyone who doesn't know, that's the Society of Children's Book Writers and Illustrators. It's a wonderful organisation for anyone who's hoping to be an illustrator or an author for children's books. I hardly recommend you check them out. Yeah. Go along to one of their events. You'll meet, at the very least, some fantastic people who are in the same boat as you, and you'll definitely learn stuff along the way. So I did that, and all these things started to bubble away. And I got a few stories together that I thought, actually, just like I thought, actually, I can do a picture. Actually, I could get published. And so I thought, well, I'll find an agent, because at least I knew that. I knew that much, because self-publishing wasn't really a thing then. Certainly KDP and Amazon didn't exist. Yeah. Again, this is going back a bit. And a friend of a friend was agented, and she was an illustrator. And he very kindly put me in touch with her, and she said, I'll read these for you. And she read them. She said, I like these, actually. She didn't say actually, she said, I like these. Why don't I show them to my agent? No promises, of course, but she might give some good feedback. And she sent them off to her agent, who did give me feedback, and she was very kind and diplomatic. She didn't destroy my dreams or anything like that. She said, you're not quite ready yet, though, John. I recommend a few more things. And I took that on board and did the things she said. Took her advice and studied a bit more and did a few more courses, mostly actually through Scooby. Went to some of their conferences and just kept at it, really. And then when I felt I had some more text again, I tried a different tack. I went to one of the Scooby conferences, had, actually they all do, a meet and critique kind of thing with somebody in the industry, for anyone who doesn't know, agents or editors or whoever it might be, and they'll give you one-to-one feedback, which is great. Because they sit in front of you as well, and it's not online. They sit in front of you, they talk directly to you.
Yeah, they're humans. You can actually have a conversation with them.
Exactly that. Yeah, that's great as well, just to break down any kind of perceptions or misconceptions you might have about them and what they're like and what they think of you, etc., etc. Speaking to somebody face to face always, it'd be nerve-wracking beforehand, but it's always easier in the long run. So I did that a couple of times. I also went to an open day at a publisher, because I wanted to see what it's like at publishers, what they did, who they are, again, see them in their world. And they had one of their authors in, one of their illustrators in, and I could hear their stories, kind of like we're talking. They told us the same thing I'm telling you now about their journeys to publication. And the author was Tracy Corduroy.
She's such what a lovely woman. Like, she's so lovely. I've met her a couple of times now.
Yeah, she's really down to earth and open. And well, I was saying about all these people, the point we were making earlier was, I don't know if that was on camera or not, but everybody that I've met within the publishing industry, whether they're inside publishing houses, agents, or like me, would be authors, illustrators, all really giving them their time, really accommodating, really friendly, really caring people. And she kind of gives off all of that spirit. She's fantastic to listen to, and she's a fantastic author, really prolific.
Yes.
And so that was great listening to her. And the illustrator was Benji Davies, similar, fantastic illustrator, and an all-round nice chap. So that was great. And then there was an agent, and then a one-to-one, and that's why I was really there, to get my one-to-one. Always in the back of my mind, hoping that they would look at this and go, "That's great, we want to publish that." And they did, actually. So I went to Nosy Crow, and The Pirates Are Coming was one of the 3 texts that I had given them. And at the same time, actually, maybe a week before, a week after, I'm terrible with dates. I'll give you a date just to kind of pin something roughly in a time period, but don't hold me to it. I could be a year or 2 out. But within a couple of weeks, I was at a launch party for somebody I met through Scooby. And she was in a joint launch party with 2 other authors, all of whom were being published by Maverick Arts, who are a small independent publisher at the time.
They've got some great books, and I love that they're open to authors that aren't agented a lot of the time. So they're a great publisher.
Yeah, and that's true, and they're willing to look at people who aren't agented, which is fantastic. And those publishers are few and far between at the moment. So it's very kind and generous of them, especially as they aren't a huge company to take that time. But anyway, there was a raffle at that launch party, a week or either side, one way or the other, to this open day, and I won the raffle. In fact, I don't know if you can see it. Can you see that little thing over there between the typewriter and Beacle?
Yes.
That little thing. it's purple, but there's a little white dot there, and that's my raffle ticket. My winning raffle ticket from that launch party. Yeah.
Amazing.
And I submitted the same 3 stories, one of which was a pirate one of which was the dinosaur book, Wondrous Dinosaurium. So within a week or 2 of each other later, just before Christmas, I think, just before Christmas, Nosy Crow said they wanted the pirate book, and just after Christmas, I think in the New Year, Maverick Art said they wanted the dinosaur book. Wow. And I thought, wow, this is great. This has kickstarted everything. Now it's coasting, plain sailing. I'm going to be publishing non-stop. But that didn't happen. But it was a great experience to be able to do that myself without an agent. So for everyone out there, you don't necessarily need an agent. You just need to be canny and look for opportunities. And wherever there's a slush pile, terrible term, but wherever there is an open door.
I call it a treasure pile because there's treasure in them.
Yeah, it's not slush at all.
And we keep it with the pirate theme. Yeah, I didn't even think.
Yeah, that's it.
It's the treasure pile. I can't even talk.
Yeah. But yeah, just enter take access or advantage of every opportunity that's made available to you, even if you don't think you're ready. It doesn't matter. You know, there'll be something potentially in your story that somebody will see somewhere. Even if, you know, you're a multi-published author, you know, you're still going to get rejections. So, you know, any opportunity, put it down. Don't be afraid of the rejection. Oh, we haven't got to that other question yet, but it doesn't matter. We'll just wing it. Then, you know, and because you never know. You know, if you wait till you think something's perfect, it might never be. And you know,
it's a hard line there, isn't it? Because I think, and a lot of people, and I know that I did very early on, sent things out way before they were ready.
Oh yeah, don't send
it's kind of knowing where that line is, isn't it? I think if you're in a critique group and you've got some feedback, and a few people maybe have picked up on something, then you know that needs working on. If maybe one person has, but in your gut you feel that doesn't resonate with you, then that's all good too. And just it's getting it to a point where I think you don't over edit it, because you can easily do that.
Yeah, and that's my point. But you're absolutely right. Before that, definitely critique groups. So all my critique groups are through Scooby, and I've been in several. And you need to put all your work through critique groups. And when you're all happy with it and you think it's the best it can be, or you know, good enough before that point, and you're right, that's the line where you can over edit, and I've done that before, and then you kind of lose sight of what it was meant to be. And that's the point I'm making. You know, don't hang on to it too long, because you might also miss the opportunity. You know, the right time for that story could be now. And there will be editors, you know, who are willing to work on books with you if they love, you know, your voice and, you know, what you've got there. It can be polished. You don't have to make it perfect yourself. You know, that's what an editor's job, or part of what an editor's job is. And they're on your side. So take advantage of all that. So yes, what's the question? Did you ask a question?
The question was, have you always known you've wanted to be a children's writer?
No,
I think we skipped to like question 7. I'm joking.
No, I didn't. No, I didn't. But I do now, so that's good. I really enjoy it now.
I'm so glad. It's like I said earlier, it's a lovely place to be, and kind of just being left to your imagination, because it's endless. Like, it can go anywhere, and that's what I love about children's. You're not kind of stuck in a box. Children's imaginations are huge, and what they enjoy is not what an adult would always enjoy, because they can see more than we can. They let loose a bit more than us, and I think if you can do that as an adult, writing books for children, I think it's a magical thing. And I just, it's one of my favorite things. I love writing picture books. I mean, I love writing all books, but picture books especially, because they're just so, they get in the hands of these young children who then fall in love with reading and just fall in love with stories. And what's better? I keep seeing these pictures on talk about social media actually, and there's like someone, like a child looking at like a phone or something, and it's just their shadow of them looking at a phone, but they're looking at this book, and there's all this like nature shadows behind, and I'm like, it's just tells you like everything you need to know about what a book can do for a child.
Yeah, no, absolutely. The things it can open up for that child, within that child. And also just those worlds that you can engage with. And it's not a passive medium. You really do have to use your imagination even when reading to bring all these characters to life. And every book will be different for every child reading it. Certainly ones where there aren't so many pictures, chapter books, middle grade, etc. But for picture books, which I love too, are they my favourite? Do I have a favourite? I don't know if I have a favourite. I've recently started trying to write chapter books, young fiction.
So like the next stage, like sort of 5 to 8 sort of age?
Yes, exactly, 5 to 8, yeah. And I've really enjoyed that too. I wouldn't say more than picture books, because I love writing picture books. I love reading picture books. I think you can see that. All of those covers are all full of picture books. And they're all mine. So those are my ones. I do loan them out to my son, but they're all mine, and I read them, and I love them as a medium. But I also love chapter books, and I've been trying my hand at that, and I tried middle grade as well, and things I never thought that I'd be able to do.
Yeah.
And not because
it's changed as your children are getting older, like that you're then thinking, what are they liking to read at the moment, or do you think that will happen? I mean, I feel like that's kind of where I'm going as my daughter Willow's getting older. Like I've now started writing chapter books. I mean, I do like YA, but then I have a 20-year-old, so that would make sense. I feel like I'm kind of writing for the age group of my children.
That makes sense. I think more for me, what I'm reading, because I read through all those ages, and just whenever I'm reading, ideas pop into my head based on things I'm imagining as I'm reading. And in fact, I think that's another one of your questions. Ideas come from everywhere, but they also come from when I'm watching something, when I'm reading something, not just observations of the outside world that would inspire me. And it'll be something different. It'll spin off whatever it is I'm looking at, but I'll jot those ideas down. And some of them would be best suited to be picture books, and others wouldn't. And in the past, I would have either tried to squash a chapter book idea into a picture book format, and I've tried to do that. I once, when I was writing screenplays, I wrote what would have been an animated feature-length screenplay, which I didn't know what to do with. And then I tried to squash that into a picture book once I started writing picture books. But some ideas are not suited for picture books, not just because of their length, but the themes, etc. And I would have put those aside and thought, well, I write picture books, so I'm not going to do anything with those. But they still exist inside my mind, and occasionally they'll pop up and they'll be rattling around, and some ideas will join them, and it starts to get bigger and bigger, this thing. And eventually I thought, well, this one I just really enjoy, that I've had in my head for 12, 13 years. And I thought, well, I was between agents. I had nobody that I needed to deliver anything to. I could just do whatever I wanted. So I thought, well, I want to do this for now, and then just see whether I enjoy writing chapter books, see whether there is a chapter book, and just explore it. And I did that. I loved it. And the same thing with the idea that I felt was maybe YA rather than middle grade. And I had no plans to write anything at that level. I might not, because it's not finished. But I started putting the stuff down on paper, and again, really enjoyed that, which surprised me. And so you never know, really. If you think you're a picture book author, for example, you might also be an author for older readers. So don't limit your horizons.
Yeah, definitely. I think that just that creativity that you have, it cannot sort of be held down into one form. I think eventually you probably try your hand at a few different things, and I think that's great, because you're not limiting yourself. You're putting, an agent will love that if you can write across different genres, because it's they want to sell your books, and if you can write across them, then they're going to have more stuff to sell and get you out there. And I think that's a really good thing from both sides, for your own creativity and your own sort of just happiness and enjoying what you're doing, to also having it as a career as well.
Yeah, no, absolutely right. All of those things, without wanting to repeat what you've just said, but enjoying your writing is so important as well. And I really enjoyed writing those, even if it ended up being, well, hopefully not, but even if it did end up just being for me, it was a really gratifying experience. And I got these stories out, finally. I thought it was just one, but then I ended up completing 3 of them in a series, potentially, which I shouldn't have done. But again, at the time, I thought, well, these are just for me.
Yeah.
And then I thought, well, critique groups, which we were talking about, I thought, well, I'll put it through my critique group, see what they think. Because we're a picture book critique group, and I just wanted to show them the first 3 chapters just to see if they thought there was anything in it. And they all said really supportive things and gave me confidence. And that's another thing a critique group will do for you. So I really encourage any authors out there to join and find a critique group. They are really supportive, and you'll learn from them as much as you'll learn from any course you might go on. From reading somebody else's work.
Critique, you learn about writing as well. When you're critiquing others, it definitely works like both ways, because you'll see things in other stories and you'll be like, oh, actually, I'm seeing this in this. I can put this to use in my own, and like the advice that you're giving out, you can take too. They're great places to be in.
Yeah.
Definitely.
You've kind
of answered a couple of the questions, because we were talking about, I was going to ask about your publication journey and where you get your inspirations from, but we've spoke about that, I think. So I'm kind of interested, and I think that so many authors, especially picture book authors and maybe chapter book authors as well, really interested in what it's like working with an illustrator, because there's so many different stories. You hear like some publishers really like keep you both apart, and you're left to do your thing and they're left to do their thing. Some are really collaborative, and I love the differences. So I'm just interested in your journey with working with illustrators. So you've worked with Steve Brown, Matt Hunt, Julia Christians, and I just, how did you find that? And like, what was it like when you first got first saw one of the illustrations for your book? I didn't put that in the questions, but
that's all right. We can talk about, we go through all of that. So, as you said, it's going to be different for every book you work on, particularly if they're with different publishers. They've got different ways of working, and all of my books were being with different publishers. However, all of the working experiences were very similar, I think just coincidentally. So I didn't really have much interaction with any of them whilst they were working on the book. So I would work with the editor, and we would hone and refine and finish the text, and then that'd be sent to the illustrator, and then they would do their thing, and I'd be shown some roughs to comment on. I think mainly as a courtesy, but I'm allowed to comment if I want, and I mean, for good or bad, it's kind of in my nature to do that. When I was a designer, I was creative director, so it was my job to do that, to compare what the designers have done against the goals of the brief, and to make sure they stayed on track. Give somebody very, very creative something to do, and they'll be very, very creative, but it might not suit the brief. And although I didn't give a brief, I had the opportunity to feedback. So occasionally I would, but only minor things. And that was kind of it. And then, afterwards I met Steve, who's a lovely guy. And we've stayed in touch, we're still friends.
That's great.
He had unfortunately I couldn't go because I was ill, but he's now a painter as well. So he had an art exhibition in Brighton last week, which I'd love to have gone to. So we keep in touch. Matt and I were to meet. We were going to do a festival just as COVID happened, so they got cancelled. And it was before they moved online. It was like, the first year, oh, well, we're just cancelled. We don't know what's happening. No one knew how long that was going to last. And, people adapted later, so they went online, but this one didn't get rescheduled, and we weren't asked for the next year because our book was a year old or whatever by then. So it didn't happen. And so I've never met Matt. Although, very nice chap, I contacted him to ask him if he would do some printouts of some of the spreads from the book that I could hang on my wall, and he kindly did and signed them for me. And I've not met Julia. Julia lives in Germany, but I do remember the first time I saw work for all three as well. To the other part of your question, Julia's most recently. I was at a meeting at Templar. I was with my agent at the time. It's like a meet and greet, an introduction, with I think it was the designer, the lead designer on it, and the editor, and they said, oh, we've got somebody who we're really keen to involve in this, and whilst you're here, we've sent her your text, and she's interested, hasn't officially signed on, but we want to get your thoughts on her work. And they showed me some of Julia's stuff, which was the most relevant work to the book. So lots of animals and plants and trees, and straight away I knew she had a really, really keen eye for flora and fauna, which in my own mind, as you say, someone who's creative, even though the book is never going to look anything like what I've got in my mind, I've always got the story existing in my head visually. So I had the bears and the kid and the forest, and it looked different, but it looked fantastic and it looked real. And then it didn't surprise me when it said, actually, Julia lives next to a forest in Germany. So, and it was obvious that she was illustrating all of this stuff from, maybe not the bears, but from life. That those plants were distinctly hers. They visually looked like Julia Christian's work, but they also look like real plants, which I thought was important, considering that's the majority of the book, bears and plants. And so, although I didn't see a sample from the book from her, I just saw roughs was the first thing I saw, and they were quite finished roughs. Her roughs are quite close to the final. That was quite a way down the line. I did for Steve, so to show that he was the right person for the job, to Maverick, he did a sample spread, and actually, what's it? Oh, I hope it's in this one. Actually, this is an American version of it, so it's a hardback.
Is it the same? Is the cover the same? Because I always find that really interesting when you've got.
The same.
Yeah.
And it's got a dust cover.
Covers and UK covers are different, aren't they?
So it's got a little dust cover. It's got little things going on the side.
Oh wow!
And then, so they've got something else. So, and that's taken from one of the spreads. But the sample spread that Steve did was. So Steve did that as the sample.
It's amazing, isn't it?
And it was pretty close to that when I saw it, actually.
Wow.
So that was great.
I've been so excited. I would have, what a feeling.
And for Matt, he did little vignettes or little character studies, pages of Tom, the main character, like running down a hill, and different kind of bell setups. So Tom always had a bell, and I kind of saw it as an old school bell, which is what it ended up being. But then in amongst the roughs, the samples that Matt had sent was one where it was fixed to something, and he had to ring it, and it was attached to this wooden thing, like a permanent fixture there. And I suppose this is where feedback would come in terms of what I intended for the story, without wanting any spoilers. The idea of a permanent fixture suggested something which wasn't true of the story. This is all about Tom wanting to do this, not the village wanting to do this. And having a permanent structure there for a bell suggests warnings happen a lot. Whereas this was just this moment for Tom, really.
Yeah.
So we went back to the handbell. And then I saw roughs again, just like Julia, for the whole book, and I had the opportunity to comment. I can't remember if I commented on anything that Matt had done. Not much, nothing I can remember even really. And there were a couple of comments on some of the things that Julia had done, but they were minor things. Just something that, you know, if I was looking at the page, it distracted my eye. I thought, well, you know, could that be made a little bit smaller? You know, just minor little things. And that was kind of the involvement really for me. But I am aware that it's not always like that. You know, sometimes it's collaborative in any case, because you're having to interact with lots of different people all the time. You know, you're not really just on your own here at your desk writing and then it goes off you. But I do know, especially if there's a successful first book, let's say, or you put two superstars together, you know, like Tracy, for instance, and Stephen Denton, maybe. You know, you put them together and you get alchemy. And I don't know.
Matt Hunt now with M. Linus, he's done a couple.
Yes, that's right.
I'm hoping there's going to be a huge series of those. If there's many animals you can rhyme together with other objects, they're great books, aren't they?
And I don't know if those teams, I'm sure they do, you know, then are allowed to just freewheel and talk, you know, and bounce ideas off of each other. Because I think that's when, you know, it can really work well. But that's not to say that when you're separated, it doesn't work equally well, because I'm delighted with all the books and everything that was done by those three fantastic illustrators without, you know, me being heavily involved. So, you know, it works both ways.
Oh, it's so good to hear. I think, like I said, so many people just, it's kind of like you don't know what happens behind these publishing doors, and as writers, especially when you're just starting out on your journey, because this is what I kind of set Kidlit Live up for people at all different stages. And I think all this sort of information will be so helpful to people to know that it can be collaborative, but it can also be work completely different. So everyone's aware of what kind of journey they may or may not have and how different it is for everybody. And I'm really glad that you shared that, because I think it's going to be really helpful for people that are maybe just, especially ones that are just starting out. So thank you. That's really,
and I'd say,
really,
you know, don't have fixed expectations about what it might be. I think that's helpful as well, because then you won't be disappointed. You won't be you know, confused or you know, or what was I going to say? I was going to try and use a pun there, but I forgot what it was. But anyway, you know, if you're not expecting anything, you can't be disappointed when it's slightly different to that expectation. Just go along with it. You know, trust in the people that you're working with, and you know, if you strongly believe something, don't be afraid to say it. I'll also say that, you know, they're not going to tell you off. You know, they're not a teacher. You're not a pupil. You know, it is collaborative. You are working together with the same goal to create the best book possible, maybe with slightly different intentions. You know, it is a business. You know, the publisher is wanting to make money, but they also want to create a great book as well. So they'll do everything within their power to do that. And you know, don't be afraid to give feedback if you're asked, and you know, be involved in that conversation. Enjoy it. Enjoy that part of it too. Yeah, enjoy every part of it, you know, because it can be quite stressful. All of it can be quite stressful. Going to, you know, a festival is stressful for me. You know, talking in front of audiences is stressful. But I'm enjoying this, and I enjoyed being at Margate Booking in front of all those children dressed as pirates, and it was great fun. And enjoy it. Enjoy it all.
Yeah, that's great advice, and I think so many people will appreciate that. So yeah, thanks for sharing that. You mentioned earlier, and you touched upon it, so we kind of mentioned about agents, and I think you said that you maybe had an agent previously. So can we chat about querying? Is that okay? About your journey? Are you looking for an agent at the moment, or are you?
So as we said earlier, when I got those first two book deals on my own, I wasn't sure then if I needed an agent, because I had now ongoing conversation with two publishers, so I could submit directly to them, and they were totally open for me to do that. But further down the line, I decided actually maybe I do need an agent. Because I was, in all honesty as well, you'll submit, and just because you've got one book with a publisher doesn't mean they're going to take the next book that you write or the next book, and that's just the reality of it. So we're jumping all over the place. But another bit of advice is to keep writing all the time, and even if you've got this one book that you love and you're really focusing on, make sure it's not the only book you write, because it might not find a home now. It doesn't mean it won't find a home ever, because that's the other thing. That drawer gets opened again later, potentially.
So nothing change.
Yeah, taste change. People move desk all the time. And trends come in and come out, and who knows what's going to be next. And if you've got lots of texts, then you might have something ready to go in the moment that it's needed. So, and even if it's not, you can use parts of that to write something else. So, nothing's ever lost. But the text that I was submitting to both publishers, Maverick Arts and Nosy Crow, weren't getting much traction. I wrote a sequel to The Pirates Are Coming, and they didn't want it, and but it could be various reasons. Maybe it wasn't very good, to be honest. But they and they were quite honest. It's not quite right for us. We don't see it as a series, and that's fine. They always told me, so they didn't keep anything from me, so it's fine. So I thought, well, if I get an agent, maybe I'll have better luck. So I went looking for an agent, and that took several years. And I found a fantastic agent, which was Felicity True, and she was at the Caroline Sheldon agency. She was my agent for a couple of years, I think, and she got me the deal for the Bear Tracker. And then she left the industry completely.
Yeah,
so
she went into academia, didn't she? If I remember rightly, yeah.
That's right, she did, yeah. And so then I parted ways with Caroline Sheldon, the agency, and I was, me again. It's fine, you roll with the punches, you get up, you keep going. And as I was alluding to earlier, it also gave me an opportunity where I thought, well, I'm not trying to. I was still writing picture books, but I thought, well, I can do whatever I want now for a little bit. Or who knows? It might be a lot of it. I don't know. But I thought, well, I can do that, and that's when I wrote those chapter books. And that's when I wrote those parts of that middle grade YA, just because I had them inside me, nagging. So I thought, well, I can get them out, and who knows? And then I thought, well, once the critique group, and we alluded to that as well, we talked directly about that, actually, having a critique group is invaluable, because I just showed them this. And even though it wasn't a picture book, and they were under no obligations to look at it, they all did. And they gave me great feedback. I worked on it, and then they said, what, John, trust in yourself and go with this. You're not a picture book writer, you're a writer. And this just happens to not be a picture book. So let it be what it is. And then that gave me confidence to actually start looking for a new agent. And I used that as my submission, the chapter book. And I said, well, you may know me as a picture book author, but since parting with Felicity, or Caroline Sheldon Agency, I've been doing this. And I got a new agent out of that. So now I've got a new agent, and you're the first person to hear this. It's the lovely Katie Blagden at Bright. And she's been fantastic. She's been fantastic. I've only known her a couple of months, but she's like my best friend now. So she's brilliant, very supportive.
Bright agency are amazing as well. What a great agency they are.
Yes, no, I've been
brilliant authors, illustrators,
I've been looking longingly at Bright for a while. Lots of fantastic authors and illustrators, and author illustrators are at Bright. So now I get to go to the Christmas party and
it looks amazing. They had one recently. Was it a summer one they had?
That was before me though, so I think it's going to that.
I was looking at all the pictures. I think I saw some that David Litchfield had put up, and I was like, that looks so good.
Yeah, so hopefully I'll get to meet David, who's obviously fantastic.
He's brilliant. He's such a lovely person. Yeah, a great guy, and really easy to talk to as well. Yeah, he's been on Kidlit Live, so that was really great. But huge congratulations. I'm really happy for you. That's so brilliant. And you said I'm the first to know, but I think everyone that's listening now knows. So so let's all give John a huge congratulations. I had a feeling, because obviously you tagged Katie in the tweet earlier, and I was like, oh, maybe you just know each other, or is there going to be some news that
I
you're
get
going
my
to tell me? So
detective hat on.
a bit of foreshadowing going on there, but yeah, it's really. Oh, I'm so happy for you. I'm so happy. You absolutely deserve it, and I can't wait to see what you both put out there in the world. I'll be cheering you on all the time and buying your books, obviously, because I love them.
Something happens, yeah.
Oh, brilliant! I'm so just so pleased for you. So with querying as well as writing, and you've given us loads of amazing tips and advice, but do you have any other tips for querying authors, for people that are not just querying for agents, because you've done that as well?
I think we've covered quite a lot of it, but I suppose consolidate all those, let's see if we can. I would say what served me most over my career, let's call it that, has been perseverance. Is the one thing I can say you're going to need. So you need support. You definitely need support, and that's where critique group and organisations like Scooby, Right Mentor, come into play. So I would say go meet those people. They've got plenty of time for you, and they're there to support you. So definitely do that if you can, and you can do it online if you're not. You don't have a chapter of Scooby nearby, let's say. It was easy for me because I was in London. I'm not now, but I was in London. So I made sure to go to everything that I could that time permitted. And, I had a demanding job where I'd have to work evenings, sometimes all night, sometimes weekends, young family. But where I could, and I'm writing, I had to do some of that, I would go to these places and meet people. And you'd meet editors as well at some events there. You'd meet agents, and again, you put yourself around them. You see, as you said, quite rightly, Arden. And it seems like something you should have to say, but they are people, and they're very accommodating people, and they've got time for you. They're there for you. That's the reason they're at these events, to meet people like you, authors or writers,
they love books. They want to put books in children's hands. That's what they want to do.
Yeah, exactly. So take those opportunities. And going back to perseverance, you will get knockbacks all the time, even once you're published. I've had 3 books published, but for every one that's been picked up, 10, 15 haven't. That's just the way it is. And it's hard, and it's all right to, especially when you've got this one that you love, and you will. I've had several that I've fallen in love with books that then don't get picked up, and that's just the way it is. And more than that, put it in the drawer again, as we said earlier. It may see the light of day again when the time is ready. If you've got a big stack of, it doesn't have to be physical, they can be on your computer, not just on your computer. I've lost loads of stuff by having
email it to yourself, because I'm really rubbish at backing stuff up, so I just email myself now. And I know I'll find it eventually.
Email yourself, have a hard disk, do printouts, have multiple ways of securing these things, but secure them, because they're gold. They're your livelihood. Even if not now, they will be, because that's what you're aiming for. Perseverance. Believe in yourself, that you can do this, and if you believe that you can do it and you deserve it, you'll act accordingly. And if you don't, you'll procrastinate, and it's totally human to do that, to eventually even give up. Loads of people do, they give up, and they've given up too soon. Yes, you need to pay the bills, especially now. Everything's crippling at the moment. So it's understandable, even for me, I get paid I'm a full-time author, and my income is 1/10 of the living wage. I need a supportive partner at the moment. So you need, again, support network. You need people who understand and believe in you, and most importantly, they believe in yourself. And that's keep writing, get those people who support you, because they'll be there for the good times. Say, look, you've written something great, just like you did. You give me a round of applause. It's lovely. It really, gets the endorphins going, doesn't it? It makes you feel good. It
does, yeah.
But they'll be there just as much for when you have those rough moments, and you'll have lots of them, and it's part of it. It is one of those career paths or those jobs where there are lots of ups and downs.
Yes.
And just accept it for what it is. And again, going back to something said earlier, enjoy every moment, because they're worth enjoying, and believe that more will come, and act accordingly with that in mind. I think
yeah, that was absolutely perfect. Amazing advice. And it definitely resonates with me, and I know would resonate with so many people that I've met on their journeys. Yeah, absolutely. Just like keep going, enjoy what you're doing, and don't give up. Unless, you know, some people feel like they might need a break, and that's all good. But if it's something that you really want to do, you need to get back on that horse and keep going. Definitely.
And that's a great point. Yeah, if you need a break, take a break. You know, your mental health is important. And I took a break, you know, for a little while. You know, after parting ways, Caroline Sheldon, because I'd also, you know, parted ways with the design company I worked with. So I was totally, you know, on my own. Starting
around
again.
the same time. That must have, yeah, really hard.
Well, within the year, I think. And you know, I decided, well, I'm going to take a little break, decide what I want to do. And that's when I say, you know what, I want to get these other stories out. I want to write those. And then I got up again. But it's okay to take a break. That's not defeat. That's not giving up. And that's fine. Take a break and then go again.
Yes. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I think that would be so many people that I know would, they really do try and try again, and they're like burning out. And I think, yeah, you need to look after your mental health. It's so important. So I'm really glad that you've mentioned that. I think that's a really good thing. So, I mean, we spoke quite a lot about what you're doing now. So you're looking at chapter books and middle grade, maybe sort of YA as well. Is there anything else that you can share? What's coming up next for you? So you're now agented. So
well,
yeah,
it's
for John.
Yeah, it's kind of a clean slate, really, because I had nothing in the pipeline. I've only ever really got one book in the pipeline all the time. And then when that comes, you know, I'm scrambling to get another one. And so, you know, and that last one is out, and that's the Bear Tracker. There's nothing else in the publication pipeline at the moment. I've been writing, though, and, you know, having conversations with Katie about what to do next. And it might not be any of these other things that I've been writing that we've talked about. It's just that's what I've been doing and enjoying. So, you know, we can consider that. And we are considering all those things. So what's next is I'm just enjoying my writing, and Katie's doing her agenting. And then, you know, we'll see what that leads to. It's definitely going to lead to a Christmas party. I know that. So that's definitely the next thing, a Christmas party.
I'm looking forward to seeing any pictures that go up, and I'll be spotting people that I recognise and know, and I'll be like giving you a virtual wave through the pictures.
Do you know about Authorify?
I do. I actually have tickets for that, but it's, recently my sister has decided to have a 50th birthday celebration on the same day. So yes, so I'm torn. Well, I'm not torn. I have to go to my sister's party. So. So yeah, I'm not going. But yeah, that's great. She's a great organisation.
Yeah, so I'm going to that as well, and I'll be doing a Scooby one.
Brilliant. Well, have the best time. And I'm not jealous. I'm not jealous that you're going to the Authorify party now.
Oh, is it Authorify? How do you pronounce it?
Authorify? I say, I don't know. I'm just saying, is it Authorify? It probably is Authorify.
That's the thing about you. That's the great thing about reading. You can tell words that somebody's learned by reading, and this is one, isn't it? Because I think never heard anyone say it out loud.
Sounds right. When you think of it with an FY, you're probably definitely right. Yeah. I'll probably just say it that it's easier to say. So, you know, I always do whatever's easier. That's me. But, yeah. Oh, it's been so good to have you on the show, John. Thank you so much for joining us and sharing your exciting news and your journey. It's been really great to hear. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks for inviting me.
Oh, you're welcome. And I can't wait, maybe in the future with some more news and another book out there with maybe your chapter book. I'd love to have you back on so we can chat about that. That'd be brilliant.
Well, if it happens, then, you know, you're already asking witnesses now. I hope they're witnesses.
Definitely. Oh, well, thank you so much for coming on, and we'll speak again soon, and good luck for the future and with Katie. I'm so excited. Huge congratulations.
Thanks, Arden. Thank you.
See you later.
See ya.
Bye. Oh, I'm so happy for John. I had no idea. I mean, obviously I saw, like I said, I saw the tweet. But yeah, really happy. Huge congratulations. It's exciting news to end the show on. And thank you for everybody for tuning in. Thanks to John for coming on. I actually have another Kidlit Live next week. I was supposed to start them going monthly, as I've been working full time since September, but again it's been somebody that was supposed to come on, and then I think I had some illness, so the show is postponed, and I have the amazing author illustrator Emma Reynolds on the show on Monday, so it's a completely different day for us on Kidlit Live. So do join in at 7 o'clock on Monday, and I'll be chatting with Emma Reynolds. Thank you all for joining in, and I'll catch up with you soon. See you later.